Hello, everyone, and welcome to ESN Late Night Episode 60, which will be the G53 recap show. As always, guys, I am your host, Hype. Tonight, I'm joined by Mike or Creeper. What's going on, Mike?
Not a whole lot. G3 is finally done. Sleep schedule can be fixed tonight, but a bunch of, I guess you can call them upsets today, so we'll go over that.
Yeah, we do have a lot to go over, guys, and if you guys have been paying attention to our streams and our Twitter, you know that we have been live the last two mornings at 2:45 a.m. Eastern to bring preview shows. So obviously, like he said, our sleep schedule is a bit messed up. We'll do the recap today, and then everything will be back to normal. So obviously, like he said, a lot to go over, but just some quick filler notes. If you guys would like to show support for our stream and our show, I just put a click to tweet link in the chat. All you have to do is click on that and tweet it. Show support. Let everyone know G3 discussion is going on. Also, if you want a chance to come on and talk with us, share your opinion with the chat and with the viewers, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and we'll go through and see who we can bring on later on in the show. Mike, anything on that before we get going?
Nope, should be good to go.
All right, sounds good. So what we're gonna do, guys, basically we're gonna give you a rundown of what happened. We're not gonna focus too much on the first day, but I am gonna run through and give you guys an update with the groups, just so you know what happened there. So there's no issues or conflicting, opinions with that. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring up the group image right now. We're gonna show you guys who did what, who was limited, all that stuff. So when we look at the groups here, obviously I'm just gonna run down quickly. We have Group A: Epsilon, Curse, Exertus. Epsilon, obviously, they took that pool 2-0, taking down Curse and Exertus. Curse, they were down 0-2 to Exertus in the series, and they ended up coming back to take that series 3-2, and Exertus was eliminated from that pool. So Curse and Epsilon moved on to the second day of the tournament. When you look at Group B, you have powerhouses like Envious, Optic Gaming, and Vitality. Obviously, like we said, this was the pool to really watch out for. The viewers were excited for. All the big names. You have Vitality, the biggest team in the European scene, really, with all the French following, and obviously Gotaga, like we said, is almost the nade shot for that community. Um, anyway, Envious took that pool 2-0, taking down Optic Gaming and Vitality. Optic was able to shut down Vitality and move on, so Optic and Envy moved on the second day. Vitality was eliminated in the first day of competition. Then we move on to the Group C, the quote-unquote Group of Death. The Group of Death. With FaZe, Optic Nation, and TCM. Obviously, after their huge performance at Anaheim, people were expecting TCM to come out strong. They didn't play so hot the weekend before at EGL. They came in third, losing to Epsilon and Exertus, so it was really a big event for them. They needed to show up, and they just couldn't do it. They lost to both Optic Nation and FaZe. FaZe ended up going 2-0 in that pool, and Optic Nation as well moved on. Then we go to Group D. We have Team Caliber, we have Evil Geniuses, and we have the new upcoming team, Infuse. Infuse was not able to get it going with that new roster. I don't think they have the experience on that team. They don't have the veteran players who are really able to, know how to play against teams on that caliber. And it was just a clean sweep there. Caliber took the whole pool 2-0, and EG took it 1-1. Mike, any notes on the first day? Anything there to wrap that section up?
No, not really. I mean, we talked about it last night. Just I thought for sure the European teams, would come out a little bit stronger than what they did. I mean, the fact that they lost doesn't surprise me too much, but the fact that, Vitality, TCM, and Infused, none of them won a single map.
Yeah, it was really surprising, like you said. We're not going to focus too much on it because we did go into it. But 4 out of 5 European teams were eliminated within the first day. So it kind of killed the hopes there, obviously, until we look in the second day and see how good some of them did actually play. So when we go in the second day, I'm going to be honest with you guys. We had a prediction show earlier this morning, and both Mike and I were almost completely off. If any of you guys know, we had a little dispute going on between a few of the matches. Um, Mike actually predicted an EGTK final, and I predicted an Optic and Envy final. Neither of those happened, sadly. We'll go into what we predicted and what actually happened a little bit later on. But Mike, really, what was your opinion overall of day two? How do you think the matches were, the games, the teams? What's your overall opinion of today?
I mean, complete opposite from what I thought. I mean, I did have Epsilon beating Optic, but with Evil Geniuses and FaZe, I mean, I don't think very many people saw that coming unless you're an actual FaZe fan. Props to them, handled their business. Curse getting beat. everybody kind of had that one. And then that TK Optic Nation matchup was the one that I was most interested to watch. But I had TK Optic Nation came out, they did their thing, and took them out. It's just a lot different than from what everybody saw it. So I thought it was very enjoyable to watch.
What we're going to do is we're actually going to bring out the bracket from the second day, give you guys an idea how it worked out, who played who, and we'll kind of discuss the matches one by one a bit and give just our overall opinions on it. So let's bring that bracket up for you guys to see. You'll have an idea what happened there. Obviously, when we look at the bracket, just to give you guys a quick update if you weren't able to catch in to any of our previous shows or know how it worked, what happened was the top two teams from each pool advanced into a single elimination bracket, so 8 teams ended up facing off. How it was set up, there was a lot of issues about it, a lot of questions, a lot of people didn't understand how it was working. So I'm going to put this in the most simple form possible. The number one players, or the number one team from each group, played the number two team from a different group. That's just as simple as I could possibly put it. They were randomized, and they ended up playing the second place team. First and second place teams played each other. So when we look at it, Epsilon was matched up against Optic Gaming. Evil Geniuses was matched up against FaZe. Team Caliber was matched up against Optic Nation. And Team Envious had a face-off against Curse. Obviously, a lot of these games could have been big. The outcomes weren't what I expected, weren't what Mike expected, and they really weren't what our viewers expected this morning. It really is surprising to see how a lot of this turned out. When we look at the first match of the day, Epsilon versus Optic Gaming, this match was one of those matches you had. Obviously, the whole green wall and most of the fans wanted Optic Gaming to win, but Epsilon was the last hope for Europe in this situation. If they got eliminated, the whole European scene was out of the tournament. So they had a lot of pressure riding on them for this one for sure.
No, absolutely. I mean, you don't want that on that weight on your back here, like representing your whole country because everybody else kind of just failed. But it's not the first time that's happened. It happened with TCM last Gfinity. But Epsilon played strong, and they proved that you can't just classify the whole European competitive scene as not not up to par because in my opinion, Optic Gaming was the second best team in COD, and they took them out, and then they went and beat FaZe, who took out Evil Geniuses. So I mean, from top to bottom, it may be a little bit weak, but at the top, they still have some power.
Yeah, for sure. The top teams in that scene definitely can hang with our top teams, and like we said, that was shown this weekend completely by many different teams there. Um, so yeah, let's go back, take another look at the bracket, so we can go into the actual discussion of that match. There was a lot of different things going into this today. Um, for Optic Gaming, what they needed to do, obviously, Scump needed to go off, and Scump did that for most of the series. He was constantly slaying people, and that was what was expected. Nade was running objectives. Obviously, he did his part as much as he could. The first day, Proofy really struggled for Optic Gaming. His stats weren't on point. He was going double negative a lot against teams like Envious, and it was close. They really struggled the first day. So the second day, we talked about it this morning. Proofy really needed to go off if they wanted to make it in and advance. And Proofy really struggled. The first game of the tournament, between those two teams, you had Proofy sitting at double negative, and it didn't help that team at all in that domination, the first one. It was really hard for them to get going once that happened.
Yeah, watching that first game, I believe they were down by quite a bit. Optic
Yeah.
Gaming was, however, at the end of the match, they were able to cut it down to I think it was 19 or 20, somewhere around there.
Basically, at the end of the first side, it was 92 to 58 Epsilon, and by the end of the second half, it was 156 to 141 for Epsilon. So it really got cut down to a 15-point lead from a little over or a little under 40. So they did a good job of cutting it down at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if Proofy was dropping what he normally does, that's a difference maker. That map right there turns the series. Optic wins, but unfortunately, didn't happen on that map. He picked it up on the search. Did pretty well. But in the end, in order to win, you have to have everybody playing their best. You can't have one person slacking while another person's trying to carry that weight.
Agreed. And really, through the rest of this, it was kind of back and forth between the teams. They kept going back and forth. Scumpy was obviously going off. The S&D was surprising because for a while there, it was all Optic getting all the first bloods. Optic got first blood for the first 9 rounds in the Search and Destroy, if that is correct. 8 rounds, excuse me. And then from there, like, it's weird. The Optic is that team, and normally when you look at stats for, or just S&D in general, when a team usually gets first blood, they normally take the round. But with Optic Gaming, it's really always back and forth. Even when you look at them in the league, even when they get the first bloods, they have trouble kind of closing it out. Um, so that was the same situation there. They kept going back, 2-3-2, 3-3, 4-3, and it was surprising to a lot of people because they should have, they really should have been able to take that, but they just couldn't do it there. They did end up closing out the map though. The main part of this, obviously, like I said, map 3, map 4 went back and forth between the two teams. Warhawk S&D between Optic and Epsilon was just insane. It was a complete dominance, 100% complete dominance by Epsilon. They ended up winning it 6-0. Obviously, the players were not doing that hot. Josh ended up finishing the game at 9-1 for Epsilon, and Nate Shot was 0-6. He did drop the donut, and a lot of people were on his case about it. And it's hard. What do? You can't pick your game up. You can't figure out what to do. You're getting sniped across the map, and it was just a really rough situation there. And you really felt the energy in that room after Epsilon won. They were so excited, but a lot of the fans were so upset because they're there supporting Optic Gaming, and Optic Gaming loses so early compared to what they expected.
Yeah, I do find that funny to where the event is over there in London. The last remaining European team, Epsilon versus the COD juggernaut Optic Gaming, and these Europeans are rooting for Optic. I mean, I understand fan loyalty and all that stuff, but it's like you got to root for your country, man. You got to.
Yeah. It's
Yeah, the
it,
bomb. Somebody's
it's
talking about the bomb glitch in that series as well. I know the bomb glitch
yeah.
happened
Mm.
at least twice in the Epsilon Optic match. They didn't stop the game for it because the team that would have won the round ended up winning anyways, but
Mm.
it could have hurt them.
It really could have, and there was a lot of different situations. We even saw it in the final that they had it in the game, and it took them a while to figure out what was going on there. Hopefully that issue's resolved soon. I know a lot of people were tweeting us asking, a patch was put out, why wasn't it updated? Basically, the
It was a quick
patch,
fix,
it
yeah.
was a hot fix, basically, yeah. It was put out so it could fix it online, but they actually need a title update to fix the LAN portion of it. So hopefully that's taken care of before the next LAN event, which obviously is UMG in 20 days. Um, so, like we said, hopefully that'll be able to be taken care of before then.
Yeah, and for people in the chat, Nade played absolutely amazing, like from start to finish this tournament.
Mm.
It's like we were just talking about how the first match, the first map of the day, proof he didn't play up to what he should have. They lost. Then on the search, Nade struggling cost him.
Mm.
We're just basically trying to point out here that if you want to win at this level, you can't have those games.
Mm. It happens obviously, but you need to stay consistent all the way through, and it was rough. Obviously, many different factors go into it. You could say, whatever you want, but Epsilon took the series there and they advanced. We're not going to spend too much time in every single match. We want to go through this as quick as possible, give you guys a quick update, go through. So let's move on. Let's get another look at the bracket here so we can go on to the next team. When you look at the bracket again, you have the second match was actually Envious versus Curse, and this match was just a sweep all the way through. Envy just completely dominated. Um, I don't think anyone expected much else. Obviously, if you didn't get to watch, you might not know. But Tipsy could not attend the event. He had issues going on in his personal life. He couldn't get things figured out to get to the event. So Croster had to go and fill in for them. And it was rough. The chemistry isn't there. You weren't practicing together as much as, you would have liked to, obviously. And Envy just completely dominated. They ended up taking the S&D 6-2. And that was about all they could really do. The Blitz, they took 20-14, and Formal dropped 20-17. Formal dominated this whole weekend. I can go on and on about Formal's performances, but it would just be basically a repeat of saying he dominated, killed everything, and it was that was a good series. I guess you could say. Obviously, I'm a fan of Envious, so I do have to say I enjoyed the series.
No, yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think this event showed, Formal's been getting a lot of hype since he came into the scene, and a lot of people have doubted him, called him a warrior, whatever it may be. But this event, I think, kind of showed that, you know, it's not hype. It's it's reality. He can do what he says he can do and what people say he can.
Yeah, yeah. And we talked about it earlier, but it's like all Halo players have such good. Excuse me. A lot of
Yeah,
a lot of Halo players have such
yeah.
good gun skill. Obviously Mike's gun skill isn't where we'd like it to be. Sorry.
I'm amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. But a lot of their gun skills are really on point. Their accuracies, they just don't miss shots, and it's really awesome to see all these players coming over and having success in both games. And Formal actually is the first Halo player to win both a Halo and a COD event. Obviously, a lot of people might say Crim6 came over, but Crim6's top placement was top 4, I believe, and top 8 for sure. Um, Obviously, he won plenty of Call of Duty events, but he never won a Halo event as well. So Formal, is that first player to do that in both games, which is really an outstanding accomplishment.
Yeah, and talking about Envy, it's you can't. I mean, Formal did absolutely amazing, but nobody on that team did bad.
Mm,
Everybody on Envy played out of their mind this whole event, and it showed. I mean,
yeah.
winning the event when you know they struggled previously. I guess this roster maybe just complements themselves, complements each other a little bit more than past rosters, and it showed. It's they all played amazing. Formal played lights out. Nameless did. You can't just pick one person on that team to stand out. They all pulled their weight.
They really do. All those players are so consistent, which is nice. It's nice to see. When we move on to the next match of the tournament in the quarterfinals, we do have Optic Nation going up against Team Caliber. If you watched our prediction show, both Mike and I did predict TK to move on from that one. The chemistry that
Womp,
team has
womp,
together.
womp.
Yeah, that was a very upsetting ending for the most part. Optic Nation came in, completely swept that series. They won 3-0. TK did what they could, but they didn't give up much of a fight, to be completely honest. Optic Nation took the domination on strike zone 181 to 121. They really just couldn't do anything about it. They took the S&D 6-3, and that was about same type of situation on Blitz. They just couldn't hold up. And Optic Nation, they just kept dominating and rolling through, which was
Mhm.
surprising to me. Optic Nation is a really good team, but I didn't expect them to do that to TK, to be completely honest with you.
No, and I was really surprised in the first domination. I mean, Optic Nation completely handed it to them. I think it was like a 60-point game at the end of it.
Yeah.
I wasn't seeing that. The search and destroy I can see just because everybody on Optic Nation is amazing at search. Um, I know the blitz was very close and came down, to the last seconds of the match, but in the end, Optic Nation took it 3-0 and moved on. I mean, not much more you can say about that series.
Mm.
Honestly, it was you know unfortunate for TK. A lot of people had TK moving on, but you know maybe next event.
It is what it is.
Yep.
Then we have the series that shocked everyone. Evil Geniuses takes on FaZe. This was just, oh man, I don't even know what to think about this one, to be honest with you. FaZe came in and they handled EG. They really did. EG couldn't even keep up a fight. FaZe won the whole series 3-0 over EG, and it was a shock to everyone. I don't think, obviously there's some FaZe fans, but I don't think too many people expected them to take out EG like that. Um, they ended up winning the domination by not much. It was a close margin. They took it by 3 points, 150 to 147. Um, they kept going back and forth. EG showed some life at the end, taking B for a little bit, but they weren't able to hold it all the way through to actually take the win. It was really back and forth. It was a decent match, to be fair. But obviously, like I said, FaZe just completely dominated. When we look at the S&D, they took that 6-3. Obviously, FaZe is a great S&D team with the likes of Sensor, Parasite, Dito on that team, and of course, Apathy just finishing that roster off. They have a solid squad for sure. Um, and then Warhawk on Blitz. Usually, we do see a lot of pressure coming from EG, but they just weren't able to apply the pressure needed to take the win. And like I said, FaZe took that map as well, 11-7, and they just completely swept them. And I was completely just mind blown.
No, yeah, absolutely. The first map, was relatively close. Could have went either way. Nobody outslayed anybody. They were, I think, pretty much tied in terms of kills. Just came down to that final moment. 3 points was the difference there. When we go into search, Apathy, had a good game. I think he dropped 12, 13 kills. carrying them to that victory. And then on, the Blitz, I kind of think the win was just out of the sails for EG.
Yeah.
Everybody went negative except for Krim. And they just didn't look like the evil geniuses we're looking to see. We're used to that, pumped, going crazy team. Aches getting involved with, the other team. It just wasn't, it didn't feel like the evil geniuses we all know.
Mm.
And FaZe took advantage of it. Shut them out 3-0 and sent them home.
Yeah, obviously, I know a lot of people in the chat have their own opinions about it. If there's any matches we discussed and you have something you'd like to share, give your opinion about, feel free to do so. If you have an actual good comment, we'll read it, discuss it a bit. So yeah, if you guys have something to say, make sure you include it, and we'll discuss it a bit later. So we can finally move on to semifinals. The semifinals on both sides, you have Epsilon versus FaZe, and you have Optic Nation versus Envious. Mike, which one do you want to look at first?
Your call, homie.
All right, let's take Optic Nation versus Envious because I'm in the mood to talk about Envious today. So this series ended up going 3-1, as you guys see by the bracket. Envious did end up taking it. There was a lot of back and forth, different plays, and I actually enjoyed it. It was a fun series to watch. Envy took the domination by a 7-point margin. Wasn't a lot. It was a really good match. The S&D went to Optic Nation 6-4. Nameless for his team though was sitting at 10-6. There was not much more he can do. The other players just weren't able to get it going for that one. But then the Warhawk Blitz is where it just completely turned around. Envy took that one 10-1, and that is just such a demoralizing thing. I know from playing, and you know from playing, Mike. When you're getting blown out that much, it's not fun at all. You lose complete composure. You lose any want to play, any motivation, anything like that.
Yeah, I mean, the big thing in this series is, literally people see that the score line's 3-1, but what people don't realize is Envious is probably 0.1 second away from losing that whole match. If you guys watched it on the last domination that was played, we all know in this game the last tick of the time to earn points is at like 5.1 seconds. Instead of past CODs where you get that tick right before the end. So basically, ON pulled a great comeback, got it down to 1 point, and then that last tick just never happened. To where if it would have happened, they win that map. I have Optic Nation taking that search next game, and it's a completely different tournament from there on out.
It really is. Everything changes from there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
But
yeah, Envy pulled that out. Yep.
Yeah, it would have been interesting to see, but for the one, if anyone wondering about the numbers, they won by 1 point, 146 to 145. Like I said, we're not going to spend too much time in any match. It's going to be a quick show today, just going over everything, recapping things, getting some chat discussion, and we'll go from there. Moving on to the second semifinal, we did have Epsilon versus FaZe. This match, again, another 3-1. Epsilon, they had their way with FaZe, to be completely honest. FaZe took the first map pretty convincingly. FaZe went 156 to 133 to take that match over Epsilon, and it started to look like FaZe was going to be able to take it out from there, and they couldn't hold through really with it. FaZe ended up going up on the S&D, taking control 3-1, and they just couldn't hold it off from there, and they ended up getting come back on to win for the Epsilon 6-5. Freight Blitz, they again won by 1 point. It was such a quick 1 point thing. I remember it was Parasite in the base last second. He had a chance to get it, to get a cap, and he was off by like a second or two.
Yeah, they capped with like 12 seconds left to make it, that 1 point game, and all of FaZe just started rushing, and unfortunately, they all tunneled through the front door there, and that was, a massacre. Parasite was able to get 2 of them, but asking him to get 4 of them and a cap is a little bit much.
Yeah, he just couldn't do it. He got shut down at the end there, and then he the next match, Octane Dawn, was just a complete disaster. It was 186 to 115 for Epsilon. There was no contention there. Jared was completely dominating. Every time FaZe tried to do something, he shut them down in every single cut. There was nothing they were going to be able to do.
No, and I think Parasite tweeted out that the ARs on Epsilon were playing beyond what they should be playing as. They were holding down every power spot, and FaZe just couldn't do anything.
Then guys, we do have the grand final. Epsilon versus Team Envious. We know how this went. We know Envious ended up taking it 3-0, completely dominating Epsilon. When we look at the matches, it was a good fight on domination, at least the first dom. 154 to 137 for Envy. Formal was completely wrecking the whole time. And it was a good match. Formal, like I said, completely destroyed. He was sitting at 33 and 28. Josh was 30 and 25, which was really impressive. He was really trying to hold his team in it. He was the fighting force keeping them in, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 3-0 sweep, and if you look just purely at the scores, it looks like honestly Envy just wiped them. That domination was relatively closer than what it seems. Search and destroy is search. It is, you get what you get there. No really hidden stats there. But when it came to that blitz, it was literally Envy just doing what they want when they wanted. There was nothing that, like, at halftime, you never say it's over until it's over, but everybody knew Epsilon, it's over. Envy, it's over. Played out, but, Envy surprised everybody this weekend. In our pre-show before the weekend even started, asking who's going to win the event. Out of, I'd say, 700 people that were in here, I saw 2, maybe 3 Envies will win it. And, they came out, did what they had to do, and now they're going to celebrate by staying over there in Europe for a couple weeks.
Yeah, obviously, like you said, that final blitz map was just a complete domination. They took that 24-9, and that's just insane. That's an insane win margin. It was crazy. And so Envious did take the event. We can talk about them breaking the quote unquote curse, and we can get into all that. But before we do, we actually had a chance to interview Team Envious after the event, after they took the victory. So what we're going to do, guys, we're going to take a quick second here, and we're going to show you guys the interview that we had with them after their victory.
I have with me the boys in blue, Team Envious, the G3 champions. How does it feel to win?
It's an amazing feeling. We worked super hard for this, and to bring Envious its first major title is a huge accomplishment. We put together a squad that myself and Hasho that we really wanted, bringing on Formal and Cap. Not only skill, but maturity-wise, and we just worked hard and came to this tournament very confident and showed.
What was your toughest game of the tournament?
To be honest, our toughest game of the tournament was probably Optic Nation. We only lost 1 map throughout the whole entire tournament, and it was to them. And both of the DOMs were within 10 points, so it was definitely our toughest match.
And how do you guys prepare for one of these tournaments?
Oh man, it's just so many hours put in, there's just practice every night. You just play with each other, you build chemistry, you learn what to do in certain situations, and it really showed today what those hours really meant.
I asked this in our previous interview, and I'm going to ask again because you guys have won. How are you guys going to celebrate?
I'm not sure yet, but everyone here, minus Merc, we have 2 weeks to spend in Europe after this, so I'm sure we'll have a good time going around Europe, knowing we won.
I'm sure you will. And lead on to the next one. What are you guys going to be getting up to in Europe?
Well, we had already planned and we already have our flights booked and hotels for a trip in Barcelona for 4 days, Rome for 2 days, and then we're going to be at Gamescom in Cologne for a week. So, I think I'm just going to take care of the guys. I mean, that's what I always try to do is just make these guys as comfortable as possible and give them all the opportunities to exceed and do well. And now, since they've actually done it, I get to celebrate with them and show them a good time. So we're just going to have a little fun in Europe, I guess.
That sounds good. There you have it, guys. Your G3 champions, Team Envious. Well done, guys, and congratulations.
Thank you. Yesterday you asked me what my opinions were on the top 3 for Gfinity, and I told you we were going to win, and second and third doesn't matter, and I still stand by that now.
Welcome back to ESNLateNight, guys. I hope you enjoyed the interview that we had with Team Envious. Obviously, my favorite part of the interview, I had to say, was the ending with Jake Hep. It was such a funny ending when I first saw the first interview yesterday. I lost it. It was just hilarious. Saying no one cares about second and third, and we're gonna take the victory. So him saying that, and then that actually coming true was really enjoyable for me. I've always been an Envy fan since I started in COD 4, and it's finally nice to see them winning a tournament, winning a major tournament. Excuse me. Obviously, they performed well in other tournaments, but they were never able to really take the victory at a major LAN event.
No, yeah, absolutely. And watching that video, everybody on that team is a competent person. JCap isn't afraid to be blunt about it. Told you we were going to win it. Second and third really doesn't matter, and still stands by that. And for those asking, yeah, ESNLateNight was the one doing the interview there. But people are saying Envy is the top team now. I would calm down just a wee bit. Next event that everybody's at, if they win this again, then we can start talking about that. In the past, the community's been very fast to jump on a team after they win an event.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, consistency is the main thing. You can't win this event and then go to the next event and get sixth, or something like that, because, then it kind of just, eliminates the first place you just got.
So the thing is this, so for me, I don't consider a team the new top team, especially with EG still in it, Until EG loses 2 events in a row, I feel that they compete in. I'm not going to consider their reign of terror or whatever, however you want to say it, over. They're not going to be able to compete at UMG, so whatever the next event they compete at, if they don't win that, I'll consider their reign kind of on the edge of being over. The way it is now, I think that they're still the top team in the game, and it's kind of hard to go against that. I think if I had to take a guess, I would still say the top teams are EG, Optic Gaming, Epsilon, and Envy. Those top 4 in my opinion for sure. But I don't know if they're the number 1 team now.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say because you can't go off of this because it's like like I said in the past, in my opinion it was EG 1, Optic 2. You can't just base it off this event because then you're talking, okay, Epsilon is now like the number 2 team in the world. FaZe is up there.
Mm-hmm.
You can't just base it off one event. You have to have, after this game is done, can't be quick enough, but we'll look back and kind of determine, what was everybody, was Evil Geniuses the best team from start to finish in this game, vice versa. So, that's a few months away. I think we only got 2 major events left, maybe 3.
Well, we have UMG.
We have UMG. I know ESWC is going on, and I'm assuming MLG will have to have a season 3 playoff for championship. So probably looking around 3 there.
Yeah,
what's the next COD event? It'll be UMG Dallas.
We're 20 days away. So.
Yeah, which is in like 3 weekends from now. So, and I believe Evil Geniuses will not be there. I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, they're not. They're not attending. As a team, anyway. Aches and TP talked about possibly going and using fill-ins, and I don't know what the deal is with that. I haven't heard anything. But once that is confirmed or denied, we'll be sure to let you guys know about that. What we're gonna do, guys, every single show we try to bring subscribers in and talk with us for a few minutes at the end as we wrap things up. So if any subscribers of the channel want to come in, type in the chat, and we'll see who we can get in. We'll probably bring on probably just 1 per show. So if you're a subscriber to the channel, you want to come and talk with us, type in the chat, and we'll try to get you added in.
No, absolutely. Nobody's taking anything from Envy. If I was just judging by this event only, Envy was by far the best team. That wasn't a fluke. They didn't get lucky. They absolutely dominated. There's no question about that. Start to finish, they lost 1 map all event. Nothing can be said wrong about them.
Yeah, they went 15-1 for the map count. They completely dominated Respawn. The only match they lost was a S&D. So yeah, they, no one's taking anything away. They completely dominated that performance. So, air flying, take 2K ops. I will PM you on Twitch right now and ask for your info, and we'll get you on the show for a bit. So, sounds good.
Yeah, guys. Also, somebody saying bring in pros. Travel, time difference, not going to happen. maybe in a few days, once everybody gets back stateside, gets settled in, we'll see if somebody wants to come on and, see if they want to kind of give us, their experience of the event, because, neither myself or Hype is actually at the event, so we don't know the atmosphere. We saw some videos, heard some people talking about it, but, being there in person is 100% different than, watching that.
Yeah, it's like you said, maybe after things settle down, we'll get some people on and see how we can get that going, because I know you guys would love to have them on, so yeah, we'll see. If you guys have any questions that you want us to talk about before we kind of wrap things up here, put it in the chat. We are going to bring a subscriber in for a few. But yeah, so if you guys have anything, type in the chat, let us know. We'll go over it, give our opinions on it, and...
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll bring it up one time. I'm not going to get too much in detail. A lot of people complained about the monitor usage. Apparently, I saw on Twitter multiple times that they were running a 5-millisecond monitor. I don't know if that's true. I do know multiple players from multiple games complained about it.
Mm-hmm.
However, if it's a problem for you, it's a problem for them. You can't lean on it. I mean, I understand it may be a little bit difficult. You're not used to it, but your opponent has to use the same equipment you do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Everyone uses the same stuff, and some people just don't understand that, I guess. And it's hard, it really is. I'm not gonna judge or anything, of course, but
no. And I don't even know if it was really 5-millisecond monitor or whatever it was. I don't know, but
I did some research into it, and from what I understand, I believe it was actually a 1-millisecond response time monitor, but something about the gigahertz of it or whatever made it lag behind a little bit. I'm not sure on the exact specifics of it, but if we get that figured out, we'll let you guys know on that in the future. So yeah. Guys, we're going to be bringing our subscriber in a second to talk with us, get his opinions
just
on the event.
Make sure you message him and tell him we're bringing him in live. We're not going to go to a break for this, so. If you guys do have any questions, make sure you just put them in the chat until we get this subscriber in here. Okay, but apparently Blaze, the monitors that were used were a 5-millisecond. No, they were 1 millisecond. I don't know.
Oh, man, you guys.
No, I mean, I can understand if you're coming from a 1-millisecond monitor to a 5-millisecond monitor, you're going to see a slight difference. But, I mean, yeah, you can go ahead and link it, no problem. But I don't see it being enough for, that being a reason why you were eliminated.
Yeah.
Okay, they were 1 millisecond, I guess. I don't know, honestly. Just reporting some Twitter drama, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, we usually try to stay away from that stuff, but you guys did ask about it. We are joined right now by Air Flying. He is one of our subscribers in the chat. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys?
I'm doing pretty good. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good.
So, the whole goal here is to, get our subscribers in, talk to you guys, get your opinions on it, have your opinions heard by others. So, what is it you want to go over? Obviously, we'll ask some questions. But is there anything specific you want to touch on before we ask some questions to you?
To be honest, I'd like to talk a little bit about the new Envious roster, just a little bit. I thought it was pretty insane how crazy they got over just one event with JCap and Formal. That's just something for me. I don't,
No, yeah. Absolutely. Because I mean, if you compare this Envy squad to the last event, it's 100% not the same because. Just watching them in the past, Optic should have wiped the floor with them. Right, should have been a 3-0 for Optic and it's over. But complete opposite. So something's obviously working with that team.
Yeah, something's going good there.
What do you think that the difference is? Do you think it's just the new roster and the chemistry, or do you think it's the time they're putting in? What do you think is the reason for that?
To be honest, I heard a lot of things talked about with Parasite. And with the other players that they had, and I really think that Formal made a huge difference. That's just me. With his slaying power, I think it was a great decision for him to go to Envious rather than stay at FaZe. And I think that he was ultimately the decider in what went down.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Formal really made a huge addition to that team. Obviously, his past in Halo, he's a veteran player to the esports community. He knows how to play the game, and his slaying power this weekend was just unbelievable. He was a lot of the people actually chose him to be the MVP of the tournament.
Yeah.
So it was really interesting to see how that ended up playing out. We are having a little bit of issues here with Mike's connection, so once that's fixed, I'll let you guys know. So yeah, what I'm going to ask you is, what did you think of the outcome? Were you surprised that Envy made it all the way through? Were you surprised that Epsilon made it all the way through? And did you expect that to be the finale, the 3-0 sweep there? Or did you expect a little bit of a better fight?
For me, I, like everyone else, I predicted an Optic and EG final. Obviously, they're the two best teams, I think, personally, still in the game. But I think Epsilon really showed. I thought it was going to be TCM instead of Epsilon, just from their last placing. But I was pretty surprised by FaZe and Epsilon and also Envious. I mean, there's a bunch of different stuff a bunch of different teams. But I definitely didn't expect Envious to win. I expected them maybe to go like third or maybe even fourth. I thought it might take them a long time to get used to their roster. Obviously, it's a lot different with two new players, but obviously they showed everyone else wrong. So
yeah, I mean,
and also Epsilon kind of has Optic's number.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
yeah.
It seems like every time they play Epsilon, no matter the roster on either team, I guess just the name Epsilon will beat Optic Gaming.
It is insane to see because you always have Jared and Swanee who just always go off for those teams.
Right.
Swanee knows how to lock the map down, kill everything in the way, and Jared and Scump are always going at it constantly for those two teams. So it's nice to see those two constantly playing each other because they're both, in my mind, the top 5 Slayers in the game. They're both in that area for me.
No, I couldn't agree more. And both those teams feed off that. Like, you can just see it when Jerd is going off, everybody on Epsilon picks it up tenfold. Same with Optic. When Scump is running around slaying everything, everybody else picks it up, and it just makes everybody's job that much easier. We saw it multiple times this weekend, especially with Epsilon when they were playing. I think Jerd went on like a 12, score streak or whatever. Versus Exertus on the first match on Saturday, and it was just they were completely wiping it with him.
Yeah. So let me ask you, Airflying, I'm gonna ask you one or two more questions probably before we kind of wrap things up silly here. Who's your favorite team in the game? Which team do you support, and why do you like that team so much?
I'm gonna go with like the typical answer here, but I like Optic Gaming just because I've always been a fan, of them for a long time. I like Optic Nation as well. I like TK. I mean, I kind of like a bunch of other teams, but Optic Gaming's probably number one. And you can call me a fanboy. I guess lots of guys call people that, but I've just liked them ever since I've watched them.
Yeah, a lot of people, whatever team you first watch and the personalities on that team, you fall in love automatically, and that's just who you support.
Yeah.
For me, it was Fear and Envious and COD 4, and just it really depends what time you came into the game, to be honest. And there are a lot of Optic fans, but the one thing that I've learned about the whole COD community is you can't judge any group specifically because obviously there's extremists in anything you do in life, and then there's just fans. So. I don't think you're a fanboy. I even
Thank you.
Like the gaming a bit.
Fanboy.
Yeah.
Well, see, Hype is a fanboy, so of course he's not going to call you a fanboy.
Oh, okay,
so.
I see. Yeah. Who's your favorite team, Creeper?
Honestly, if I had to pick one, I'd go with TK.
TK.
I've known Theory for quite a while. Used to manage him back in Modern Warfare 3 when he was with Adversity, and then over to VVV and stuff. But I honestly, during these events, I'm sitting here rooting for the underdog. Like, everybody hates being on a call with me during an event because, if it's Optic Gaming or, Optic Gaming versus, Team Random, I'm rooting for Team Random. Same if, Curse is playing some random team.
Yeah, he's in here going for Team Curse to take down Envy, and we're all just shaking our head in the call like, oh, come on, Mike.
I like the drama. It brings stuff to the community. I don't like, it's the same thing of just the first place team. I had Evil Geniuses winning, but I think them losing this event in the end will be better for the community.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I don't mind it because if you are the best team, you deserve to keep winning. but it does get stale after 12 months, and it's been the same thing over and over and over again.
Yeah. Killer Man, I probably would freak out if Fear came back with an actual roster, not like makeshift one they put together last second. But if Assassin came back, I'd be.
I guess
get Tom
Fear is coming back for AW, but we'll see.
We'll see how it
happens.
goes. Yeah, we'll see. So guys, we're gonna be slowly wrapping things up here. We'll probably take another question, one or two more questions in the chat. If you have anything for me or Creeper or our guest, Air Flying, feel free to ask him. We'll go over it really quick, and then we'll kind of wrap the show up.
Yeah, sounds good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, guys, I saw a few people saying, bring me in, bring us in. Every single show we do, we'll try to bring in at least one subscriber. So if you do want a chance to come on, all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, and, when we can bring you on, we will. There's no promises that, the exact show will be brought on, but, if you are on and we need someone, we'll bring you on.
We touched on the monitor situation earlier. I don't know, people linked in here the monitor that looks exactly like the one that they were using, and on their site it does say it's a 1 millisecond. So, but it's something with like, I don't know, with one of the settings on it, or one of the features, to where it looks a little bit slower, I guess. I don't know.
So I found the two final questions I want to go over, unless one more comes up in the chat before we wrap things up.
All right,
one is, do you think Advanced Warfare will be more dominant, Assault Rifle dominant? And I'll say this, from the small amount of multiplayer teaser we got in the last show they released.
No.
It looks a little bit similar to Black Ops 2. So I'm expecting a good mix of it, to be honest, if it is like that.
You forgot that you could rocket pack over a building, though.
You're right. And I'm going to be honest. I'm going to sound like a fanboy or whatever. I'm going to sound so you can hate on me, but I'm actually pretty excited to rocket over a building. So we'll see.
I honestly just feel that the maps in Ghost don't play well for Call of Duty. Like, it may just be like some of the Black Ops 2 maps, like Raid, Standoff. Some of those you need, reliable ARs and subs. You need a combination. Some of these maps you can get away with running 4 subs and 3 subs and a shotgun or something on like Sovereign. You can get away with that. Black Ops 1, the maps there I absolutely loved. Summit, amazing firing range. To be honest with you, with Advanced Warfare, the main thing I'm concerned about is the maps. If they want to put a jetpack on you and you want to fly around, we'll cross that bridge when it comes.
Yeah.
But if the maps aren't, what they should be, then the game will, doesn't have a chance. That's what we'll have to wait.
Yeah, the multiplayer reveal is scheduled to be soon. Obviously, when that does happen, I'm sure we'll have a show live to talk about it, and our opinions on it, how we could see it being competitive, and all that. We'll go into that, and I'm sure we'll have a schedule announced for that soon. And the last question someone asked in the chat was, and we kind of covered it really quick, but I want to get Air Flying's opinion on it too. Do you think EG's reign is kind of over now, or do you think that it's one event they can come back? Whatever. What's your opinion on it?
Here's the problem. EG, are they still the best team out there? Yes. Do I think in the coming months there's going to be a problem with them? Practicing, getting ready, playing? Absolutely. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Crim6 is staying over in Europe, or he's going on vacation over in Europe somewhere, like for the next 3 weeks. Karma is about to become a father in the next, soon-ish, I guess. And, that's going to take away a lot of his time. So I know EG is going to be playing with two or three subs in the league every night when they play. Is that going to affect them in the long run? By the time MLG has their next event, or even ESWC, will they be able to do what they need to do?
Yeah. Air Flying, what's your opinion on it?
Well, to be honest, I don't think it's over for EG. I think they still have, amazing talent on their squad. Obviously, they've won like 9 events this year or something crazy like that. I'm not really sure. But, it does... To me, it kind of seems like they're not like giving up, but they're kind of done with this game. I know a lot of people are already done with Ghosts. Obviously, like you see, Crim6 is taking vacation. Obviously, Karma's having a child soon. So, I don't think that they're necessarily done. I just think that they're kind of tired of this game. So if they lose a couple more games this year or a couple more tournaments this year, I don't see that really coming into play. But, it's possible. I think if they lose the next event, they'll have to really check themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course, Evil Genius is going to want to win every event they go to,
Right,
left in Ghost. However, at this point, their dominance, I don't think there's anything that could happen that would take that label away, best Ghost, best COD Ghost team.
Yeah, definitely not, yeah.
I mean, there's nothing that can take that away from them with it almost being over. And I agree. I feel a lot of these teams are, slowly starting to get away from this, building their rosters for, the next COD. And somebody in the chat who said it can't get much worse than Ghost, do not jinx it. It can always go downhill. It can always get worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, we'll just have to put our faith here in the developers and, hopefully things work out. I mean, we've saw multiple people, when they went out to look at the game, say it looks great, it's awesome. And in the past, when we joked about the jetpack situation, we've seen trailers from multiplayer where, there's a bunch of silly randomness that really isn't even involved in the game much.
Yeah.
So
I remember
the stuff you've seen sorry.
I remember Black Ops 2 when we first saw the watch that shoots like a bomb out of an explosive thing. Everyone was going crazy, and it's not even a multiplayer. So we'll have to wait and see. Guys, like we said, that's probably going to kind of slowly wrap it up here. Airflying, do you have anything else you want to say? Anything at all? You want to shout yourself out? Anything like that?
I want to thank you guys first of all for having me on the show. I want to thank all the guys for coming out, and Twitter and YouTube, Airflying 2K up. So that's about it. Yeah.
Sounds good. If you want to link in the chat, go ahead and feel free to.
Okay.
As for me and you, Mike, do you have anything to say?
Nope, guys. We are going to try to have a show in the middle of this week. We'll be contacting people throughout the week. People that were at the event. Personalities, pros, whatever it may be. See if they want to come on and kind of recap. What they felt about the tournament. The results, the atmosphere, everything like that. When we do get that booked, we will let you know. But that's pretty much all I have.
All right, guys. I'm going to do some shameless little plugs here. Go through everything. If you guys have any questions, hopefully it'll all be answered here. The first link I'm going to post in the chat will be the final standings. If you guys want to check out the final placings for the G3 event, you can do so there. If you guys want to watch interviews throughout the event, we have interviews up there with Team Envious, FaZe. There's a video up there of Team Envious right after the win like you saw today on the show. There's one up there of, shows you
hold on 1 second. I've seen this 100 times tonight. Cursed cheating. I have no idea. If somebody wants to explain on, I'm using the air quotes here, but you can't see me, on how they cheated. I mean, I'd like to know what the accusations are, just so I know what people are talking about. But you can please continue, Hype.
Okay, so like I said, if you guys want to check out any of those interviews, any of those videos, we have a lot more videos being posted there in the coming days. So when that does happen, I'm sure it'll be tweeted out, but you can just subscribe to the channel there, and you can see them live on your sub feed. And of course, guys, I am going to tell you, if you're not already following Esports Nation on Twitter, please do so. All the support you guys give us is appreciated. We wouldn't be doing coverage if it wasn't for you. So I want to say thank you for coming in, tuning into the show. As for myself, you can follow me on Twitter at ESN_hype. If you do follow me and tweet me, I will follow back. And for Creeper, I think that goes for the same. You can follow him at ESN_Creeper on Twitter. I'll put that in the stream as well. And make sure to follow our producer at ESN I'll put it in here. He makes the stream possible. He runs it, and everything we do is on here with him. So.
Good point, Enigma. Good point.
Yeah, at that point, I kind of have to agree with that. So there's all the links to our Twitters. If you want to follow us, guys, we'll be sure to follow back. Thank you for all the support. It means a lot. If you have any feedback on anything, feel free to tweet us. Let us know what you think. And, we'll be sure to keep it in mind and see what we can do to make it better. So, guys, with that said, thank you for tuning in to ESN Late Night, episode 60, and have a good night.